And then I want to talk, and Hasan, I'm ready to get on a call with you.
Everyone, I really hope you enjoyed your one day off from the Hasan H3 content pipeline, but we are back in today's video. Today's video won't be as idubbbz orientated, focusing more on Hasan and H3, but we've got loads of great content to get into, including Froggen's response to Ethan Klein, which is a 12-minute video. So without further ado, let's get into this. Of course, on my one day off from not covering Hasan and H3 and covering a completely different subject, Ethan Klein whipped up another stream and everything else. That's what we're going to be taking a look at first, some clips that have been gathered from that stream that I have found pretty entertaining and interesting. I say that I gathered these, but whilst I was watching the stream and gathered a few of them, thankfully the Twitter user known as Yeet posted a lot of the clips that we needed on Twitter, so you know, he's been a lifeline for a lot of people covering this situation.
So Yeet tweeted, is this just this guy is the bane of Hasan's existence? This guy Yeet.
So I'm going to give a big shout out to Yeet there, but without further ado, without further ado now, let's get into today's clips.
You know how compromised Reddit is? I haven't said this before. It's so infuriating. We got a hold of someone at Reddit a few weeks ago, after everything was like peak, like max crazy. And we told them about all the snark stuff. It was a comms person, and they got back to us and they said, well, you guys are harassing people also.
I mean, with the situation at hand, that response is genuinely diabolical. It would genuinely take one thorough look, or even one quick 5-minute look at the situation to see what it's actually about and who's being affected truly here.
You're harassing people and they're harassing people, so I don't see the difference between your community and their community.
Again, it would literally take 10 minutes to see the absolutely extent of the harassment that H3, Healer, and everybody else on Ethan Klein's side has faced over the past few months. It's really easy to see who's more in the right and who's more in the wrong. And the fact it came down to that to be able to do something about all of this is genuinely insane to me. Now, the next clip we're about to take a look at is probably the most interesting clip that I've got for today's video. I'm not saving it for the end, rather let's get it straight out of the gate. This is H3 saying he'd be more than willing to have a conversation now with Hasan.
I want to talk to Sam, and then I want to talk, and Hasan, I'm ready to get on a call with you without any prerequisite. You don't have to watch the video. I think it's time we talk it out. And let me say, and let me add a caveat, or not a caveat, but a prediction. I think that Hasan, being the ever coward that he is and always constantly moving the goalposts, will find a way to justify dodging.
My usual response to something like this is always, I would love to hear what Hasan has to say in response to this. If he's going to be a coward, if he's going to accept it, now Ethan has opened up this floodgate, and we actually don't have to wait. He's already responded to this, so we're going to get into that after we finish this clip.
It will either be that, oh, Ethan is way too gone to talk, or, oh, Ethan's just going to get Destiny talking points, or Ethan's going to blitz me with Destiny, or what's the point of talking to him? He will find some, or he's just going to lie. He'll find some way to get out of it. That's my prediction. And we'll see. I mean, listen, like I said, we'll see what's what once all this shit settles. So,
I mean, if this conversation does actually take place and it happens on some type of stream or a podcast, you know, every single commentary YouTuber and just YouTuber in general is going to be cheering and putting their fists up in the air that they've got another about 8 videos to milk.
I am going to talk to Sam, and then afterwards I want to talk to Hasan. And let's see who makes excuses and who's the coward and who's the liar.
Now, Hasan was actually in the chat and had this to say. I made a YouTube video in February asking you to debate me, as well as I've said I'd talk to you numerous times. Not sure why your audience is deluded. At Hasan Abbey, we'll set it up soon. I'm trying to go home, brother. I said yes 2 hours ago, Ethan. But that's not Hasan's only response. No, that would be incredibly boring. We've actually got a proper live reaction to Ethan saying all this from Hasan.
Very well. He is ashamed of what it will look like if we have a conversation, no matter how bad faith he tries to present the issues with. He can be as bad faith as he wants. He doesn't have to be charitable. I'm not fucking just pearly things, okay? I don't need prep time.
I mean, I feel like if you're going into a conversation with that much ego, with that much arrogance, you are literally setting yourself up to fail regardless of how prepared you think you are. I think it would be a pretty funny watch to see Hasan have no prep time and then go straight into the debate and completely fumble it. But that's just me. I'm assuming he probably doesn't want that. Hasan thinks he's so much in the right, not only because of his own ego, arrogance, and his own ignorance, but also because of the echo chamber he's in.
I don't need an entire crew to fucking feed me information in real time while we're having this conversation. That's why I said I'm willing to talk. I'm willing to entertain it anytime, any place, even without seeing the context puke.
Again, I don't think that's a really great idea, Hasan. I feel like that could go wrong in 101 different ways. He's clearly trying to compensate for something here because he's just acting too overconfident, and if he does just categorically fail any conversation they do have, this will come back to bite him so badly in the arse.
How could I do that? How could I actually talk to Ethan if he has such a strong, convincing case? If he has such an airtight case, how would I not be able to have this conversation with him? Why is he the one who's ducking me and not the other way around?
I mean, regardless of what's happened in the past, Ethan now wants to have this conversation with you, and the only reason he didn't last night was because he was going home. That it's pretty straightforward. He's not ducking you. He's now put that out there that he's willing to have this conversation, and this conversation will no doubt probably happen sometime soon, as long as Hasan actually turns up. Because he can talk the big talk, but, you know, actions speak louder than words. I've stated that I'd debate Ethan since he released his context nuke. I've reached out to his producers. He will never do it. He's too afraid of his audience seeing the truth. I feel like regardless whatever way you swing here, right? If you're a Hasan viewer or an Ethan viewer, you must want him to just fall flat on his face because he's being so egotistical and arrogant here.
Let this shit go. You think I'm gonna watch an hour-long compilation of out-of-context clips that I've addressed 1,000,000 times over and then address it in real time again, which would probably be really beneficial for me, let's be real. If I announce that I'm finally gonna fucking watch the content cop, the context nuke.
I mean, Hasan will happily throw around the word coward in regards to Ethan Klein, but, you know, I highly doubt that he's ever going to watch this nuke on stream. Like, I highly doubt it. He's also doing something a lot of content creators do when a big video drops on them or a piece of content drops on them. It's they say, you know, this would be beneficial for me, I get this out of this, I get this out of it, but then they will never actually watch it. It's just trying to show the audience that, you know, I'm not scared of this, I promise, but I'm not going to do it anyway.
Sorry, that would garner a lot of attention. All the clippers would be coming from all around the world. It would be a fucking 2-hour, it would be a 2-hour response, if not a 3-hour response, going through all of the clips that are out of context, showing the full context.
I find it really ironic the way he's talking about this video that H3 released on him, because this is the exact same stuff that could be said about the content cop, literally, and has been proven that this stuff applies to the content cop. You can't be involved in a video that takes stuff out of context and then try and say that the other guy that's made a video on you is taking things out of context. It just doesn't work. Especially since you haven't even responded publicly on stream about it or even reacted to it there. I'm telling you now, Hasan will say anything and do anything to avoid watching this nuke on stream. Now, those are all the clips that I really wanted to go over in relation to Hasan and H3. I found them the most interesting, the most intriguing, and I'm genuinely really interested to see where that's going. So now we can get into Froggen's 12-minute response to Ethan Klein. I genuinely can't wait. This is going to be great.
Hi, my name is Froggen, and this is the first time I'm ever making a solo YouTube video.
And I mean, I think I vouch for pretty much everybody watching this video. We can only hope that it's the last one you will be making.
I think the content cop was great.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we can just turn off this video now because we know whatever else she follows up with is just going to be pure absolute dribble. Starting off with a statement like, I think the content cop was great or good or amazing or anything along the lines of like that is just going to make people want to shit all over this video more than they already want to.
You know, I feel like Ian approached it in a way that nobody else does. He approached it with empathy, and, you know, it was supposed to make people feel bad for Ethan.
Ironically, in relation to Froggen, this is a massive point that we've been talking about quite a bit on this channel in relation to the content. How charitable can a video be when you've walked back on your own words, stabbed one of your close friends in the back, you've then got all of their worst detractors in on a video, tried to claim it's fair, made it about yourself, included yourself crying to garner sympathy? How empathetic and how charitable can this video truly be? You can't say this video is fair in any regard, because it's also been proved to be completely disingenuous, cutting out clips out of context. So no, it's not charitable or fair, and that can easily be disproven. This is something I've shown in all of my other videos going over this, disproving this point that somehow this content cop is fair and charitable, when it genuinely isn't, and that's just a complete utter lie.
I feel like Ian approached it in a way that was more so holding a friend accountable and in a softer way, and wanted to generate empathy for Ethan.
While Smug Smaug might be trying to tell you that, I've proven several times that this is just simply not the case. And just a statement of, oh yeah, your friend really cared about you, so he dropped an hour content cop after he said that nobody deserves a content cop dropped on them because of the amount of hate it brings, really just proves that, you know, he wasn't charitable or fair.
I think it's insane to involve his children and anybody else that really doesn't deserve the criticism.
Okay, Captain Obvious, I think this is something that anybody with half a brain cell would realize is wrong, but how are you going to manage to fuck this statement up?
I think Kayla deserves the criticism as well, too, because she says some batshit crazy things on the podcast as well. And I've said this, and I'll say it again. If you're spewing pro-Israel propaganda, I'm going to call you out about it.
She followed up with a whiplashable moment. I really do appreciate that. I mean, I don't know what I'm really meant to say to this video. So far, she just sat in her chair saying a bunch of shit with no substance and no screenshots, no videos, no actual reaction so far. It's just her saying a bunch of nothing. Froggen then goes over what she said in the content cop. You know, the little letter that she wrote out to say something nice about Ethan, then goes over Ethan's response. And again, there's just really nothing of substance to break down here. She isn't bringing up any intelligent points, anything I can really sink my teeth into, or come up with a rebuttal for, because she isn't making actual any points.
I think it's funny that you think me being in the idubbbz video is what's going to cause this harassment, when in reality, it's you, Ethan. You're acting like you haven't spent the last year and a half doing everything in your power to push people to bully and harass me, including weaponizing propaganda organizations such as the ADL to get me banned off Twitch because I made a joke about you not being able to say Habibi.
Putting the blame down to Ethan here, like you haven't said anything that has made people dislike you, want to call you out, want to talk about you, is genuinely just maddening. And if you take one look at the internet and online over the past week or so since the content cop drop, you can 100% say without a shadow of a doubt that the content cop brought you more hate, because people were shitting all over it and then shat on all the people involved, including yourself. That's just a true statement.
But no, it's idubbbz, one of the only major creators besides Hasan who has actually defended me publicly in the last few months.
That's because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to explain this really simply. If you say something that people don't like, they're going to come out to speak out against you, not support you. Yes, I know that's how it works. That might be truly shocking to Froggen.
I'm a live streamer as well. I know being live for hours and hours on end, you can misspeak, and that is exactly what happened whenever I said the thing about the US military.
It's no shock that she's trying to use all the recent stuff with Ethan Klein and idubbbz and all these other individuals to try and excuse some other stuff that she said in the past. If you had a bingo card, you would have a full bingo now.
I said it in a way in which I didn't mean, and I also clarified it on Twitter by saying, the US military has conducted some of the most horrific crimes against humanity in the modern era in countries such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. My anger is directed at individuals who are currently championing these war crimes as if they liberated my people. It's horrific and disgusting. The beginning of the clip was worded poorly, and I do apologize for that. I go on to clarify in the clip that I do not mean all military, but specifically those with no remorse. What I said was out of frustration as they are currently bombing my family in the name of liberation. I realize that wishing people harm isn't the best way to talk about these issues and that I could have talked about these topics in a more sensitive way. And like I said initially, I'm not granted that charitability at all.
I do really appreciate Froggen doing my job for me, right? I don't have to add any commentary. I could have just put the full 12-minute video here and she would, you know, speak for herself. She would make herself look really bad without me having to argue anything. This is just great.
The clip because the button was pushed. Anytime any member of the crew gives Ethan any type of pushback, the button is pushed. And he wants to say that I'm surrounded by yes men and people can never criticize me when he doesn't allow his staff that are part of the show to give him any critique or pushback whatsoever.
This is a case of if you've ever tuned into any H3 podcast ever, you would see him get pushback from the people around him. This is a common occurrence when you watch the H3 podcast. I really don't know what she's trying to talk about here. She's just trying to say that the button is used to, you know, avoid H3 of all types of criticism when that just genuinely is not the case.
Are constantly defending me and having my back. I appreciate you and thank you so much. You know, during a time like this, it feels like the damage has been done physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially. But, you know, after a year and a half of harassment, it feels very calming that people are actually finally on my side.
Everybody watching, I want you to genuinely just look up the name Froggen on Twitter or on YouTube and try and find, you know, loads of positive comments. Please, I would love you to do that and then come back and comment down below how many you found, because this is just deluded. People don't like Froggen, have spoke publicly against her because of things she said and the things she's done. I mean, you'd be very hard pressed to find like a shit ton of support for her.
To Ethan, if you're watching this for some reason.
Why has she said this? Like, it would be a weird thing for Ethan to watch this live. It's literally your response to Ethan Klein. There's a high likelihood that he might click on a video from you that has his name in the title. Like, this is just bizarre.
And, my message to you is that, you know, you and I have different worldviews. and you and I have different ideas for what is the best way to help people. And, you know, while I appreciate the spirit of your advocacy, I think it's misguided. You know, after all of this, you've made my life hell. I will say that. You've made my life fucking hell.
And you think Ethan Klein's life over this past situation has been, you know, all roses and sunshine and nothing's been going on with it, and, you know, he's had this jolly good time? Like, that is genuinely so out of touch and not looking at the situation objectively.
But at the end of the day, what I said at the end of the content cop still stands. I wish you the best.
Don't worry, Froggen, not many people really made it to the end of the content cop because it was genuinely that bad, but that is all we've got to go over with H3, Hasan, and all of them lot. I probably will be covering a lot more of this as the next few weeks go by, as the content cop kind of allowed me to really sink my teeth into the situation, and I hadn't had that opportunity before to really get involved and cover this situation, and I'm really enjoying it at the moment. But I'm going to be trying to spread my coverage out across videos, because I also do want to upload other videos going over other situations in the meantime, and not just have this whole channel going over Hasan, idubbbz, H3, Froggen, and all of these other people. But as always, I'd really like to hear what all of you have to say down in the comments down below, so please feel free to go and do that. And whilst you're down there, you might as well subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. But I have been your host, Samuel, and I will catch you in the next YouTube video.